What's up, guys? So today I wanted to talk about coaching, which is something that I don't really see a lot of people talking about in a Yu-Gi-Oh context. And full disclosure, I do offer these sessions, and I have done probably a couple dozen over the past year and a half, where I basically go in and primarily in Edison help someone really work on their game and work on decks, work on side plans. But I really wanted to just more so than an advertisement for myself talk about just the value of this overall, because I think it's a pretty misunderstood and kind of underrated thing to do in the community and could really add another layer and maybe kind of help the community grow. First thing I want to touch on is just what is the value of coaching in general. And obviously the result hopefully is to get your game to a higher level. People might think Yu-Gi-Oh is all luck, people might think it comes down to winning the roll or just how you draw your cards, but I think kind of proof is in the pudding that the best players keep winning events, and certain players are able to achieve really high win rates in ladder or in tournament settings. So there is very clearly a skill edge, and I'm not here to crunch all the numbers, or I don't have a deep knowledge of every other game available, but I've heard from a lot of different people that play multiple games, as opposed to me who just plays Yu-Gi-Oh, that Yu-Gi-Oh is actually one of the more skill correlated. Like, if I can achieve a 80 to 85% win rate over a less skilled player, that's a quite high correlation compared to other games that have similar variants. So with proper technical play and deck building and just getting your game to a higher level, you will be able to achieve better results. And the second part is maybe cost analysis. I mean, if you are down on your luck and you have no additional money to spend, I would probably not recommend blowing your last $50 on Yu-Gi-Oh coaching. But at the same time, I think there is potentially a value proposition where, especially if you're newer to the game, if you can spend for a few coaching sessions, and that's really only maybe 5 or 6 hours of your time if you're really, really trying to get there. I've done plenty of sessions for people that are just 2-hour blocks. That's kind of my baseline. But if you did like a couple sessions, and yeah, you spend a little money up front, but I think as we're going to hear later in this episode, that could potentially be a valuable spend for you in terms of what you might get back in terms of prize money and of course just personal fulfillment. I mean, I don't think any of us are out here pretending that Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be a full-time job, but it's a hobby that you care about, both supporting other creators and also just, spending some money to improve your own experience seems like a pretty natural thing to do. And the third point is, this is quite common in other games where I know fighting games and even other things like Hearthstone, like there's Metafy, you can go on there, and I know even in current Yu-Gi-Oh, these things are more common. In current Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe technical play is a little more demanding. I know they're making all these crazy spreadsheets of combo lines, and while I have the fish spreadsheet, it's definitely nowhere near as complicated as some of those combos that they're doing. But even so, I mean, teaching someone the fundamentals of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's taken me literally 20 years to get to this point. So I think that if I can teach someone in a fraction of that time, then, that seems like a pretty good use of your time if you're actually trying to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh. And yeah, I just think that this is something that should be a little bit destigmatized. I mean, I think probably people would make fun of you, like, what? You're spending money on just some guy like talking at you to teach you how to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh. But that being said, I mean, I think I've kind of laid out a case where it could be really valuable. And with that being said, I would like to, briefly talk about the way it actually works. Usually I just have someone talk to me about what problems they're having in playing, like where they're playing, what level of tournament, if they just want to win locals, if they want to do out larger events, they're playing a lot of online events, what deck types they like to play, just a little bit about them. And then I ask to send over a number of replays so I can get some background, because the fact of the matter is, especially if you're not that good of a player, you might not be very good at knowing what you're good or bad at yet. And so if I can look at a bulk of replays and say, okay, he's always doing this in this spot, he's always clearly struggling like to know how to play against frogs or whatever, then I can have a better sense of how to craft kind of a curriculum, so to speak, But yeah, I just build a 2 hour session of like, all right, we're going to focus on these. We're going to go over your replays. I'm going to give you some general advice, talk about deck types. And it's very much an open forum where people can ask me stuff and I'll just give them my honest thoughts. Whereas I know sometimes on Discord, I can be kind of a troll or protracted. But, you know, if you really want the, the real deal, then maybe this is the way. I don't know. Again, I'm not like, I do this when I can, when I have free time during the week and if people are messaging me. But if I never did another coaching session again, it wouldn't really hurt me either. So don't take this as me just shelling. But yeah, at the same time, if you do want to hit me up on Discord or in the comments or however you may figure out, I'm not really a hard person to get in touch with. So if you are interested in that, please just reach out. And without further ado, would like to transition to a brief interview with someone who I've coached and actually has had a lot of success with it. This is Batel, who recently top 6, I believe, at RBT Rulers, and he's a great Italian player. And yeah, he's become kind of a good friend in the year since I first had a coaching session with him. And I know he was newer to Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, so it's really interesting to get his perspective on coming from other games, why he thought this was a worthwhile thing to do, and how he's been able to kind of develop his skill set over the year. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a silly subject, so if this is not your vibe, you know, fair play. But I think once again, it's something that maybe should be more commonplace in the community. And I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on that as well. Is it stupid? Is it fun? Is it worth doing? Is Yu-Gi-Oh just a dead-end hobby in general? Sound off below. And without further ado, Batel. Star pupil, my foremost student, Batel, an Italian player who actually messaged me about a year ago, and we did some coaching sessions, and he's had a great run of success this year. And I want to just talk about our experience with that and really just highlight how impressive his run has done as well. So Batel, say what's up.
What's up? Maybe like forgive me for my English. Sometimes it's not that good, but I'll try to
Uh,
to.
from talking to you a handful of times, I think your English is very good. But
It's I mean, okay.
but
So like last year,
yeah. Get right into
like
it.
starting like in January. Yeah, it was January, right?
I think so. Yeah,
January.
January,
Yeah,
February.
yeah. Because I always played League, like League of Legends during these years, so I was kind of feeling not that good about it. I wanted to change. I wanted to start playing something else. And I always liked Yu-Gi-Oh, but I never took it very seriously. And I was like, I don't know, I need to do something to start off and in the right direction. So I was like, let me see if someone that good is doing coaching. And I originally was about to DM Indicad because I wanted to play Eurobeat and he got second at Rulers last year. But then, for whatever reason, it ended up being you. So I just texted you and it worked out great.
Yeah, and I like, you know, it's always a kind of evolving process for me as well. Like at first, I was definitely sort of like, should I even be doing this? Not just with you, but like, should I even be doing this? Like, should I just be doing this for free or should I like, you know, it's always kind of a funny situation for me. So I think I've gotten better at the actual like coaching process and figuring out what people need and kind of meeting them halfway because, you know, as I'm sure I'll talk about in other points of this video, like the first thing I always do is kind of you send over a pack of replays or something and I kind of get what I can out of that to kind of figure out what your like main
Mhm.
flaws I guess are. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember the first session was like the preparation for the session was sending replays to give you an idea of what to work on, of course, because otherwise it's kind of not hard, but rather a waste of time for both people.
yeah, it kind of just
Uh,
gives me a place to focus, I think, to start. And the funny thing with you was there were, you know, I've actually done it with a handful of people since then, you know, and I gotta say it's a lot of different ranges of people that have a lot of experience or a lot of good fundamentals or
mhm,
people that are pretty inexperienced, I would say. And you were definitely on the more
mhm.
experienced end of the spectrum even then. And but yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts of how that first session went, like, and your mindset going into it.
I, 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 re I remember it pretty clearly because I mean it was still something new to me, so it stuck in my mind. Um, yeah, we went over replays. It was like three replays for format library ladder, if I remember correctly. And we basically went mm, of course, like when you review replays, you go on what happened in the replay, but rather the thing that made it good for me was I asked you for specific questions in some scenarios. Maybe like I don't know, we stopped the replay, we went over uh, what exactly are the conditions on the decision making in those scenarios and stuff, and those were really helpful. And then after the replays, we played a match actually. Yeah, we played Ronak on ladder. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We lost. Oh
and
man, I remember this. Yes. Oh my god.
yeah, when we lost to the
Counselor Lily.
Counselor Lily
Yeah.
card. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
He's gonna do what he's gonna do. But I think that's a great point because
but
oh go on.
mhm. No, no, I was like, yeah, but then after the replays, we actually, when playing the game, it was not like you exactly telling me every move in every spot, because otherwise it would be kind of like piloting a robot or
Yeah.
not very useful. But rather, even when someone better than you is telling you, it is like in call with you, you should probably just explain your point of views and then discuss it. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that was really, really helpful, especially because Frogs at the time was a matchup I had very, very bad experience in.
For sure.
I didn't know how to maneuver any kind of turns actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made a lot of good points there, and I think like the big picture is like I could go through a replay and tell you, oh, you should have done this turn, you should have done this turn, but the real goal is like I'm trying to teach someone how to actually think and make decision making process on their own, and like be able to make good decisions independent of me and just like creating good habits, like little things that people might not be aware of. And I also think that doing the kind of homework or whatever you want to call it that you did, like having some questions, like knowing things that you might need to work on rather than just be like, I suck, how do I get better? Like I think that
Hmm.
I'm curious actually to hear more. Like, had you done coaching in league at all? Like, had or taken coaching, I guess?
Yeah, but I was the one coaching,
Oh, okay.
so I kind of had experience from there. So I knew what was useful to the people that I coached. Because
Interesting.
you could approach coaching in league as just spectating a game and just piloting the person, and he's gonna be happy because he won the game, but then after a week he doesn't actually learn anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
so
I know it's a
yeah,
lot more
going
common
go
in other,
yeah, it
gaming
is
communities.
that yeah that's why I actually went for the coaching in the first place, because for me it was sort of a common practice. Like you want to get better, you ask someone better than you, so you don't waste time um, through the process. I mean, you could definitely maybe just play a lot, and after a lot of time and critical thinking and stuff, you actually get better. But if you get the initial push from someone that can not enlighten you, but like maybe the the game concepts, it's a bit better and faster, of course.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like more efficient if you're able to do it that
Yeah,
way.
it's more efficient. That's the word I was missing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, I think, and that's kind of part of the point of the video, I think, is like, I definitely understand why people don't want to do it, and people definitely have different levels of investment in playing
Yeah, yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh at a
sure.
high level to
I mean,
begin
in
with.
the end, the if we are talking purely from an economics perspective, I actually made well over the money I spent, so
Yeah, I love to hear that.
it
So
was fine.
let's talk.
It
Yeah,
was
I mean,
fine.
it's just to say I kind of want to, I guess like destigmatize, like make it not such a something people talk about and people are down to do and down to pay for or whatever. Like because I think it can actually be really useful to people. But I want to talk about your like what you just said because so I know you just finished I think top six at RBT Rulers Keegan's tournament, but I know you've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of really well in some of the Italian tournaments that don't always like get a lot of coverage unless you're
Yeah,
really looking for
that's
them.
because mainly I was working weekends the entire year. I
Right.
mean, until like end of summer, like midsummer. So I couldn't really play during in the online tournaments. Like I could maybe play one game if I was free and then just drop the second one. So playing online wasn't really an option to me. And I just started going to IRL tournaments when I could play some format library ladder. Of course, at the beginning I had very awful win rate. I was losing, but that's part of the process, I guess. Yeah. Then I think I topped every tournament I went in. I went to. No, actually, no. The first one I went to in April, I didn't make top cut for rating
Yeah. Oh,
reasons, but
epic.
yeah, everything else, like I made top four at the Italian nationals. I lost to Turna, who won the tournament, and other very good players were in that top cut. Like Jan Daime was also top four, Marcello, Alberto Marazzi, all those very insane players. And then the week after, I actually went to um, another tournament and I won a first edition DD Crow, so ultimate rare, of course. So just a week after, I was able to confirm that I could top a tournament because that never happened to me. I was just starting, and then yeah, I kept going. I went to the EWCQ, the World Championship qualifier in Rome. Got to top four there again. We didn't play top four because it was getting late, but still the top cut was there. Then I topped rulers, and I actually won the regional last week here in Rome. So it was nice. Stick to the same deck, like
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
try to
This is like
perfect,
almost all with DV Hero B,
try to
right?
perfection. Yeah, all with the oil beat except for the tournament I won last week, which I won with light swings.
Yeah, I mean, what just on a separate note, like what do you think about DV Hero B right now? Like why is that the one that you've been, committed to sticking to?
Yeah, so at the beginning I actually chose it because coming from League, when you learn a new role or like you have to get better at the game, you first understand the game and then understand the character you're playing. So you actually start off with characters that maybe demand a bit less in terms of specific mechanics and but rather make you focus more on the larger scheme. So I felt like at the moment Eurobeat and Black Wings were the two most suitable options, but Black Wings was very, very common and I didn't enjoy the mirror match, so I just went with Eurobeat, Diva Eurobeat, which at the moment, like in February, January, was not common at all. I was like the only one
Right.
playing it, or almost the only one playing it.
Yeah, I think it's like you're saying, like it teaches you fundamentals basically. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think that's really useful. And then now it's cool that I know you had been sticking with that, and I from talking to you, like
I mean, it's
I, I not
yeah,
to
it's
put
still the deck I play best.
yeah, like not to put
Of
words in your
course.
mouth, but I felt like you also were like, oh, I've been trying these other decks, but if I really want to do well, I'll probably just stick with DV Hero Beat. It's like
Yeah,
not that you were scared exactly, but I was happy to see that you decided to use Lightsworn for this other event. You still did really well because it is cool to like be able to play all these different decks. Like that's a sign of being a good player.
yeah. I think yeah. I mean, slowly I'll try to get to other archetypes, other decks. The problem is that once you play with these good decks, once you play when you go to play like tier two decks or like weaker decks, you find yourself to be like, why am I even playing this? I could play something else.
Yeah.
That's the main problem.
I mean, yeah. So, and I think we did a few more sessions, which was that. This is why I think
Yeah, I remember.
it's just interesting for with you in particular because it's like
Yeah, I
I've kind of
remember
seen you
one
grow.
right. I
Uh,
remember one right before Nats, like right before Edison Nats. I was preparing a list, but the main problem at the time was correctly side decking without
right, right,
like altering the deck. So that session was really helpful because we actually approached the side deck not as, you know, good cards you put in some matchups, but rather a complete sideboard plan when the main deck is built because the ratios of cards you side in and side out have to be precisely those. So I actually learned a new thing about side deck, which is, I mean, you cannot play the two different main decks with the same sideboard, because even if they are the same deck as like two Blackwing decks, if even a couple of cards change in the main deck, probably the sideboard is gonna be a kind of awkward when you go for sideboarding.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I remember, once again, like you were doing the work too, because I remember you like basically like pulled up a spreadsheet and you were kind of taking notes on all this stuff. So again, like I mean, it's cool because again, like I feel like I can kind of tailor the needs of the person. Like it's like at first you kind of came for me on fundamentals and frog matchup stuff, and then side decking. And the good thing too is like we now, your friend, like if we can continue talking about the game.
I can just DM you about something if
Yeah,
of course.
and with certain people, sometimes that could be annoying, but it's like I enjoy talking about.
I mean, I don't think I'm that annoying. I maybe
No.
maybe
No, I'm
text you
saying,
once
like,
a month or something.
But I try to make it pretty clear with other people I've coached. It's like I'm happy to answer DMs after the fact. It's not like once the session's over, like the door's closed, within reason, of course. But like, yeah, I mean,
Of course,
I'm happy
within
to.
reason.
But it's also like now you're someone that if I was thinking about some new idea for Diva Hero Beat, I might want to go run it by you to see what you think about it because you've proven that you're quite good with it as well.
Yeah, okay. I think the last skill drain thing that I did for rulers, I think it has potential. Maybe not in the main deck for standard tournaments, but I think it has potential moving forward.
Yeah, and we talked about that too. So yeah, I mean that was definitely an
Yeah,
interesting
I
idea.
remember that. Yeah, we went through a bit of card choices. In the end, it ended up being like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been just a good experience for me learning how to coach better, and then
Yeah, same for me. Like, was totally worth my money and the time I invested in.
yeah,
Like, I'm really happy. I'm really happy at the end of the year.
Yeah, you
I'm
had a great
totally
year.
fine. Like, I'm.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. You like, I think you had a better year than me. Like realistically speaking, it's like I mean, well, I don't know, I had a good year. But
I don't know. I didn't play online tournaments, so I don't know. But still,
yeah, but
I
either
mean,
way,
I
I mean,
played World
it's
League. I played World League. I played World League. Yeah,
true. I mean, either way,
I went
it's just good to have you.
I went 7-3.
It's good to have you in the community, and it's good to have another person that now I can chat with about this stuff too. So yeah, I mean, I think it was overall just a good experience, and I was just. Do you have any closing thoughts on coaching in general, whether with your league experience or with me in particular, or whatever?
No, I think it was really great, and I would recommend it definitely. One point I want to make is I think if you wanna, like, how can I say it, extrapolate more value from coaching and stuff, you always have to doubt yourself, like eliminate the thing you truly believe in, because maybe it's not right, and it's better to discuss it with someone else. That's it. Like I remember I was kind of maybe too sure about some things that weren't correct.
Yeah, well,
Maybe like
in
I remember from my experience in league, some people come in and they're like way too convinced about something, and
yeah,
just
I see what you
take
mean.
that off and it's gonna be better.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, and I mean it's also just the more I explain something, even if it's like a very simple concept, or I have to like in that example, like if you're so sure of something and I have to prove that you're wrong or something, then
Yeah, but
it's useful for me, like then I have to question to make sure I'm right, but that's like
process.
a useful process for both of
Yeah,
us, I
sure.
think. Yeah, man. So it overall just ends up being really good, I think, for everybody, and happy to have you on the channel, and I think we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any other last thoughts, so see you guys.
Peace.